There are moments in life when speaking up feels like the natural response, when someone questions your character, spreads falsehoods, or challenges your values. But the truth is, integrity isn't always proven through words. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is through your silence. When you live with integrity, your actions, your consistency, and your unwavering commitment to your values will speak volumes, far louder than any defense you could offer. Integrity is not about proving yourself to others. It's about knowing deep in your heart who you are and what you stand for. When your intentions are pure and your actions align with your beliefs, there's no need to argue with those who misunderstand or misjudge you. People who are determined to see you in a certain light will do so regardless of what you say. In these moments, silence is not weakness, it is confidence. It is the quiet assurance that truth doesn't need to be defended. It only needs time to be revealed. We live in a world that often demands instant responses where the pressure to defend ourselves is constant. Social media, workplace gossip, and even personal relationships can sometimes feel like battlegrounds where silence is seen as surrender, but wisdom teaches us otherwise. Silence is not the absence of strength, it is the presence of restraint. When you know your worth, you no longer feel the need to convince anyone else of it. The loudest proof of who you are will always be found in the way you live, not in the arguments you win. Integrity is also about trusting the process. It's easy to get caught up in the need to set the record straight, to respond to every false claim, or to counter every criticism. But real integrity doesn't flinch at falsehood. It doesn't waste energy on trying to control the narrative. Instead, it stands firm, unshaken, knowing that time has a way of bringing truth to the surface. The people who truly matter will see your consistency. The ones who don't, they were never meant to hold a place in your life anyway. This doesn't mean we should always remain silent in the face of injustice. There are times when speaking up is necessary and right, but when the attacks are personal, when the criticism is rooted in misunderstanding, jealousy, or someone else's insecurity, silence can be a profound act of self-respect. It is choosing to disengage from unnecessary battles, preserving your energy for the fights that truly matter. It is understanding that your integrity is not up for debate. Think about the greatest leaders, the most admired figures in history. They didn't waste their energy defending themselves against every criticism. Instead, they allowed their character, their actions, and their unwavering commitment to their values to do the talking. They understood that silence, when rooted in integrity, is not submission, it is mastery. It is choosing dignity over drama, wisdom over reaction, and peace over proving a point. And here's the truth. The people who know you, who truly see you, don't need explanations. They already understand who you are. The ones demanding a defense are often the ones who have already made up their minds. Your time is too valuable, your energy too sacred to be spent trying to convince the wrong people. Let them think what they will. Let your life speak for itself. The right people will hear it loud and clear. So when your integrity is questioned, when your character is doubted, and when you are tempted to defend yourself against those who have already decided their version of the truth, pause, take a breath, and remember, your integrity will always be the loudest voice in the room, even in silence. There are few things more frustrating than realizing that no matter how clearly you express yourself, no matter how much you try to clarify your intentions, some people will still choose to misunderstand you. They aren't listening to understand. They're listening to respond, to twist, to confirm whatever narrative they've already decided on. In these moments, you have a choice. You can exhaust yourself trying to prove something to someone who refuses to see, or you can step back, stay silent, and let your life, not your words, do the talking. It's tempting to believe that if you just explain yourself one more time, if you just find the right words, the right tone, the right proof, you can change someone's perception of you. But the hard truth is that some people aren't interested in understanding. They are committed to their version of the story. Maybe it serves their ego, maybe it aligns with their insecurities, or maybe it's just easier for them to see you in a way that justifies their own behavior. Either way, engaging in a battle of explanations only drains your energy and leaves you feeling unseen. There is incredible power in recognizing when someone is arguing with a version of you that doesn't exist. You don't have to prove your kindness to someone who is determined to see you as the villain. You don't have to justify your choices to someone who has already judged them. And you don't have to defend your character to someone who has already decided who you are in their mind. The more you try, the deeper you sink into their web of misunderstanding, and the harder it becomes to find peace. Silence in these moments is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the understanding that some battles are not worth fighting, not because you can't win them, but because they cost too much. Your peace, your energy, your mental clarity, these are not things to be bargained with. When you recognize that someone is deliberately misunderstanding you, choosing not to respond is not giving up. It's choosing yourself over their chaos. It's reclaiming your time and emotional well-being. This does not mean you should never speak up for yourself. There are times when setting the record straight is necessary, when boundaries must be enforced. But those moments are different from trying to convince someone who has no intention of seeing you clearly. A person who truly wants to understand you will ask questions, not make accusations. They will seek clarity, not create confusion. If you find yourself constantly having to explain yourself to someone, it might be time to ask, is this person even interested in understanding me, or are they more interested in being right? One of the hardest lessons in life is learning to accept that not everyone will see you the way you wish they would. Some will misunderstand you out of ignorance, others out of insecurity, and some simply because it serves them in some way. But their perception is not your responsibility. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be at peace with yourself, to stand firm in your truth, and to live in a way that makes explanations unnecessary. Think about the people in your life who truly know you. Do you have to convince them of your heart? Do you have to explain your intentions to them over and over? No. They understand you because they want to. They see you because they choose to. These are the people who matter. And the ones who refuse to see you clearly, let them go. Let them misunderstand. Let them wrestle with their own assumptions while you walk away with your dignity intact. At the end of the day, you do not need to waste your breath defending yourself against someone who has already decided not to listen. Your time is better spent living a life that speaks for itself. So when you find yourself in the exhausting loop of trying to explain who you are to someone determined to get it wrong, pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, the truth does not require an explanation, and neither do you. There comes a point in life when you realize that winning an argument isn't always worth it. That being right, no matter how justified, no matter how obvious, doesn't always bring the peace you thought it would. There will be times when proving your point only leads to more conflict, more frustration, and more exhaustion. And in those moments, you have to ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Because the truth is, not every battle is meant to be fought. Sometimes the greatest power is found in walking away. We live in a world that glorifies being right. Social media thrives on debates, news cycles are built on conflict, and even in our personal lives, we're often taught that proving ourselves is the only way to gain respect. But here's what no one tells you. Peace is far more valuable than being right. You can win an argument and still feel drained. You can prove your point and still walk away with a heavy heart. But when you choose peace, when you let go of the need to always have the last word, you give yourself something far greater, freedom. Think about the last time you argued with someone who wasn't truly listening. Maybe it was a friend, a family member, a coworker. You laid out your reasoning, backed it up with facts, spoke from the heart, and still, they didn't budge. Instead, they doubled down, twisted your words, or refused to see another perspective. In that moment, did winning feel like a victory? Or did it just feel exhausting? That's because some battles aren't about truth, they're about control. And when a conversation shifts from understanding to control, the only real win is choosing peace over engagement. Choosing peace doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're weak, passive, or incapable of standing up for yourself. It means you're wise enough to recognize when a discussion is no longer productive. It means you value your mental and emotional well-being over proving a point to someone who isn't ready to receive it. And it means you trust that truth doesn't always need a defense. Sometimes it just needs time. This is especially true in relationships. We've all had moments where we wanted to be understood, to be heard, to have someone acknowledge that we were right. But what if, instead of focusing on being right, we focused on being connected? What if we asked ourselves, is my peace more important than this argument? Because at the end of the day, you don't need to win every debate to be at peace with yourself. You don't need to force others to see your perspective to know that it's valid. Some things are simply not worth losing your inner calm over. There's a quiet power in choosing to disengage, in recognizing when silence is more impactful than words, in understanding that walking away from an unnecessary conflict is not a loss, it's a win for your own well-being. The strongest people aren't the ones who fight every battle. They're the ones who know which battles are worth their energy and which ones only drain them. And here's the beautiful thing about peace. It speaks for itself. When you stop chasing validation, when you stop needing to be right all the time, people notice. They see your calm, they feel your energy, and sometimes your silence, your decision to step away from conflict is what makes the biggest statement of all. It shows that you are in control, not of others, but of yourself. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation that is stealing your peace, ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be free? And if the answer is freedom, let go, walk away, rest in the knowledge that your peace is worth far more than any argument you could ever win. Truth has a way of surfacing no matter how deeply it is buried. In a world where people rush to defend themselves, where rumors spread faster than facts, and where misunderstandings can feel like permanent stains on your character, it's easy to feel like you have to fight to be seen, to be understood, to be vindicated. But the truth, real, undeniable truth, does not need to be forced. It does not need to be shouted over the noise. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is step back, stay silent, and let time do what only time can do. It's hard to be patient when you've been misrepresented. When someone tells a version of a story that leaves out important details, when assumptions are made about you that aren't fair, when people believe lies because they're more entertaining than the truth, it's natural to want to correct it immediately. But here's what no one tells you. The people who believe the worst about you without question were never truly on your side. And the people who matter, they will wait. They will watch. And they will see the truth unfold on its own. Time is one of the greatest revealers of character. People can pretend for a while, but they cannot sustain a lie forever. The truth always has a way of slipping through the cracks, of exposing itself in ways you could never orchestrate. Someone who spreads falsehoods will eventually contradict themselves. Someone who manipulates reality will eventually show patterns of deception, and someone who tries to silence the truth will one day face a situation where they can no longer control it. That's not something you have to force. That's just how life works. To think about the times you've seen this play out. Maybe you've been in a situation where someone lied about you, and at first people believed it. But as time passed, inconsistencies appeared. People started noticing gaps in the story. And without you having to do anything, the truth slowly made its way to the surface. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen on your timeline, but it happened. And when it did, it was far more powerful than anything you could have said in the heat of the moment. One of the hardest things to do is trust the process when you feel wronged. to resist the urge to defend yourself at every turn, to sit with the discomfort of knowing that not everyone sees the full picture yet. But when you learn to embrace patience, to trust that time will bring clarity, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of needing to prove yourself. You realize that your energy is better spent living in alignment with your truth rather than chasing after those who refuse to see it. The people who belong in your life will not need immediate explanations. They will not demand that you prove yourself on their schedule. They will watch how you carry yourself over time. They will see your consistency. They will witness the way you move, the way you react, the way you show up despite the noise. And in the end, your character will outlast any rumor, any misunderstanding, any temporary misjudgment. There is a quiet strength in letting go of the need to control how people perceive you, to stand firm in who you are, knowing that the truth will always rise, even if it takes longer than you'd like. When you understand this, you no longer panic when you're misunderstood. You no longer feel the urge to fight battles that time will take care of for you. Instead, you rest. You move forward. You live in a way that eventually makes explanations unnecessary. So if you are in a season where someone has misjudged you, where the truth has been clouded by lies, where you feel unseen or unheard, hold on, stay steady, keep living in a way that aligns with what you know to be true. Because one day, without you having to force it, without you having to fight for it, the truth will come to light. And when it does, it will speak louder than anything you could have said. There comes a time when words are no longer necessary, when a person's actions have already told you everything you need to know. In life, people will say all the right things, make all the right promises, and paint pictures of themselves that look good on the surface. But words can be rehearsed, words can be manipulated, words can be used to deceive. Actions, however, reveal the truth in ways words never can. And when someone's behavior consistently contradicts what they say, it is not your job to keep seeking clarity. The clarity is already there. It's human nature to want to believe the best in people, to give the benefit of the doubt, to hold on to the version of someone we wish they were instead of accepting who they have shown us to be. But at some point, we have to stop listening to explanations and start paying attention to patterns. When someone repeatedly disregards your feelings, when they show up inconsistently, when their words and their behavior don't align, that is the truth. And no amount of justifying, excusing, or hoping will change it. Many of us waste precious time waiting for people to say what their actions have already made clear. We wait for them to acknowledge their mistakes. We wait for an apology, for an explanation, for a conversation that will finally make sense of the confusion. But the reality is, the way they treat you is the explanation. Their patterns are the answer. And sometimes the most freeing thing you can do is stop waiting for words that will never come and start accepting the truth that's already in front of you. This is especially true in relationships, romantic, platonic, and even professional. A friend who constantly lets you down but always has an excuse is telling you who they are. A partner who says they love you but never prioritizes you is showing you where you truly stand. A boss who makes empty promises about promotions but never follows through is revealing their true level of investment in you. These aren't mysteries to solve. They are realities to accept. And the sooner you do, the sooner you can stop looking for closure in places you'll never find it. It can be painful to realize that someone's actions don't match their words. We want to believe that people mean what they say, but a hard truth about life is that not everyone operates with the same level of honesty and integrity that you do. Some people speak in half-truths. Some people tell you what you want to hear to keep you around. And some people genuinely believe their own words, even when their actions show something entirely different. In the end, though, it is not what they say that shapes your experience with them. It is what they do. Choosing silence in these moments is not about being passive. It's about being wise. Instead of engaging in endless conversations that go nowhere, instead of pleading for someone to explain their behavior, instead of exhausting yourself trying to decode mixed signals, step back, observe, let their actions reveal everything, and then make your decisions accordingly. You don't need a dramatic confrontation. You don't need a long-winded discussion. You just need the courage to trust what is already being shown to you. One of the most powerful things you can do is stop arguing with reality. Stop trying to turn someone's potential into proof. Stop listening to words that contradict behavior. When people care, when they are invested, when they truly value you, it shows. And when they don't, that shows too. No amount of talking will change that. Your job is not to force clarity where there is none. Your job is to acknowledge what is already clear and act accordingly. So if you find yourself wondering where you stand with someone, if you are constantly seeking answers, if you feel like you're waiting for a shift that never comes, pause. Look at the actions, not the words. Let go of the need for explanations. And remember, people will always tell you who they are, but it is their actions, not their words, that prove whether or not they mean it.